admiration I actually have for China.
So this is where we enter the twilight zone. But it's a twilight zone, again, everything is a point of observation. A twilight zone to a mainstream journalist will be perfectly bloody logical to someone who's done 50 years or so, or 25 years, or how many years it is of research into something. This is an important point about perception. One of the greatest ways that humanity is controlled is by the suppression of the sense of the possible.
All right, welcome to the show. Welcome to Axiom series, The Underlying Truth, on the Wild Bill YouTube network, WBYTN. Thank you so much for clicking that link. Don't forget to like this video. Watch it all the way to the end. Subscribe to WBYTN. Leave your comments, observations, questions, and most importantly, share this content with your friends and family. And it is right now, Sunday, November 27th, November 28th, 26th, Sunday, November 26th, 2023 at 7:27 a.m. And I was just scrolling through X and I come across the profile of Linda M. And she says Justin Trudeau always has loved his terrorists. I agree with that. And I'm very disturbed by that kind of a thought, that the Prime Minister of Canada, of a democratic country, has done what Justin Trudeau has done to this country, while supporting seemingly subversive I can't even think of the word. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. I think about what has gone on in the last 8 years that the Liberals have done to this country. And not only am I surprised, it goes much deeper. I am shocked. I am disgusted. And I'm ashamed to live here because of it. I think about the deficit, I think about the debt, the inflation rates, the housing crisis, the homelessness, the the drug problem, the overdoses, tent cities, grocery prices, and it makes me wonder what else does he have in store for this country that he hasn't already done. He's moved into stripping people of freedom of speech, expanding euthanasia laws, compelled speech laws, Bill C-51 that has totally destroyed the justice system in this country. Carbon tax that I'm not fully versed in, and I will admit that. Like, I'm not opposed to fighting climate change and making the climate better. I'm not opposed to that kind of idea. But when it comes to this carbon tax, on what he wants to do with it, quadruple it still. He still wants to quadruple this tax. I would like to know what programs are being funded to combat climate change. What actions are being taken because of this carbon tax to combat climate change? Because I do not recall any program being announced, any action being taken to combat climate change. So what else does he and the Liberal Party have in store for this country? Like it seems like a bad movie that you would walk out on if you actually saw this in a movie, seeing uh, a leader of a country in a movie doing stuff like this. You wouldn't believe that a leader would actually do something like this. And I don't even think the word leader applies to him anymore. Because I tell you, there was one time in my life where I was a liberal. I considered myself a liberal. I do not anymore. When you think about all that stuff I just talked about, then you add in stripping parental rights, indoctrinating children with gender ideology, trying to push all this gender affirming stuff onto children, which could lead to these young people having their body mutilated, sterilized, to a state of unrepair. You can't repair stuff like that. It makes me wonder what else he has in store for this country. What else does he want to do that he hasn't already done to strip this country of democracy, personal freedoms, and the like? It just makes me wonder what else he has in mind. And, So on this profile, Glenda M on X that you're looking at there, there's a compilation video of his views on things. Let's take a look at it.
The Liberal Party believes that terrorists should get to keep their Canadian citizenship. Because I do. And I'm willing to take on anyone who disagrees with that.
Mr. Trudeau, yesterday, Kiva Mohamed-Elizadeh, an Iranian-born Canadian citizen, was sentenced to 24 years on terror-related charges. The judge said his betrayal amounts to treason. Should his Canadian citizenship, along with the citizenships of those like him, be revoked?
Any other questions?
Minister made a convicted terrorist a multimillionaire when he paid the murderer of U.S. Army medic Christopher Speer $10.5 million. The Supreme Court didn't order any monetary compensation for Omar Khadr, but the Prime Minister said that because of the actions of the previous Martin Liberal government, he just had to write the check.
Again, my question is, what veterans were you talking about? Was it the ones that fought for the freedoms and values that you so proudly boast about? Or was it the ones who fought against? Because honestly, Mr. Prime Minister, I was prepared to be injured in the line of duty when I joined the military. Nobody forced me to join the military. I was prepared to be killed in action. What I wasn't prepared for, Mr. Prime Minister, is Canada turning its back on me. So which veteran was it that you were talking about?
Why are we still fighting against certain veterans groups in court? Because they are asking for more than we are able to give right now.
Admiration I actually have for China.
Admiration I actually have for China.
And that's just a short compilation of some of the views and action taken by this man. You know, there was once in my life, man, that I did consider myself a liberal thinker, support liberals. But honestly, with the deficit the way it is, and the housing the way it is, and everything that I talked about earlier, I would rather have a government that's fiscally responsible and actually answers to the people that they represent. And just like, again, it just makes me wonder, what else does he have in store for this country? Because the way things are right now, you'd think this is the worst it can get, and if it's not, we all better brace ourselves, because if this isn't the worst it's going to get, we are in for a rough ride. And with that, I will say, Bama P, be good to each other.
So, controlling the sense of the possible, because if you're doing things out here and you've got the sense of the possible here, then when people like me say this is what's going on, that goes, you're bloody mad, that's not possible, that can't be going on. And the biggest problem is that, and it's not every one of them, by the way. I was talking to one the other day who was very kind of intelligent, involved in all this, but this in general is my experience after 25 years of the perception of the possible of a mainstream bloody journalist. And that's why people who speak the greater truth, and have done throughout the period of the media, have invariably been ridiculed and dismissed, because that cannot perceive that the possibility that it can be true.